are you actually thinking about what you're thinking to know what you're thinking? I know that sounds ridiculous the way I say it, but that's what it is. You have to do it. We can't do it for you. Nobody can do it for you. I don't care how high hat the hats is they wear, they still can't do it for you. As a matter of fact, they can't even do it for themselves. So, so, so they can't do it for you either. All they can do is tell you what we're telling you, if that's what they're telling you. But they're telling you a lot of things that we wouldn't tell you, but they ain't beneficial anyway, so it doesn't matter. But just remember this: as you think, you are.
Absolutely. You said something. You said, listen, and we've taught this message ongoing that nobody can do it for you. And I put a recent post out there by a guy by the name of Altor Schopenhauer saying the exact same thing. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can think for you. And somebody came back later and said, listen, I have this great teacher and, he's doing it differently. I said, listen, no matter how great your teacher may be, no matter how wise his revelation may be, he can't live your story for you. And that's the key. This is a first-hand experience, and it can only be a first-hand experience. But when you begin living it from firsthand, you become one of the most powerful people in the world.
I'll tell you just how pointed it is. The whole Bible is about you. Every word said there is about you. First person, present tense, experiencing. You may look at it different now.
Yeah.
See, and that's the whole idea. If you're not happy, you want to look at things different. And the Bible right there gives you everything different. But you have to show up and claim it.
Absolutely.
See, he's not putting any burden on you. He's not any burden you're suffering. You did it. You use his power. It's the power of God you're operating. See, that's what you want to really understand. You're operating the power of God because he gave you choose this, and he didn't put any parameters on choosing, did he?
None.
Well,
None.
there you are. So if you're suffering something, you put it together in your mind, thinking, see, because hey, this mind is great, and there are departments and departments and departments, and they're all vacant. Nobody's ever moved into them. They're just vacant, but they're powerful. They're very powerful. But all you have to do is pay attention. See, that's what has your attention has your life. And think about that one for a while. I mean, if you think about that for a while, that's got to make it. That's got to make a dent. You think we can make a dent in them?
I think it will. You said something earlier. You said, listen, attitude awareness, what's your attitude, and imaginational control. What are you giving your attention to? These two things, you said, listen, if you have these two things, you'll stroll right through. And it's certainly the key. You guys have to hear what it is that we're saying. When you begin thinking about what it is you're thinking about and controlling what it is that you're thinking about, can you choose your next thought? When you begin doing that purposefully, it's going to transform your life.
Well, just ask yourself, what's the purpose? What I'm thinking of, what's the purpose? Where is it leading me? Because let me tell you something. Your conversations are leading you. You could have a collar around your neck and a lot, but either you take control or you're controlled. People say, "Oh no, no, no." But yeah, think about it. See, you have a valid say, and you're saying your valid say, and you're experiencing what you're saying with your valid say. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Then continue on. But if it isn't, change your mind, change your world. And the first does the second. You see, if you change your mind, it's on automatic. If you change your mind, you change your world. So it is on automatic. So you got nobody to blame, not even God, because he gave you choose this day. And you are choosing, but choosing what? Just ask yourself, what am I experiencing? That's what I'm choosing. That gives you fright, doesn't
Yeah, at first,
it?
but later it's liberating.
Yes, yes, yeah. But you have to have the pain. See, I know I'm not talking about that pain, but I mean the pain of thinking, feelingly, consciously. See, the Walking Dead is just unconscious people. That's all there is to it. They're just unconscious people. Now you're given consciousness, but are you using it? See, having it's one thing, but using it that's quite a different story. And I love what it says. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, so does he, so has he, so is he. All you have to do is test it. See, and we can't test it for you, but we can tell you about it and then you test it. But you're the one has to test it because remember, like I told you, it's all about you. We don't even matter in your world. Not really. I mean, I don't need to know you. You don't need to know me. You heard this. You heard the message, and I don't have to sign off on it, and you don't either. It's your message. But what are you going to do with it? See, I'm not asking you to tell me because I'm just assuming it's going to be a lovely enough good report. But that's up to you too. It's all up to you. That's the whole thing. We're only here telling you that you are your savior. Save yourself. Work out your own salvation. And you do that by watching what you're thinking and feeling, because thinking and feeling is your life of experiencing. Isn't that so?
It's absolutely right. You know, you was talking about testing, and something came to mind when I was a kid. There used to be this blurb that comes on your TV and it says, "This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. For the next few moments, you'll be experiencing this test." What we're doing is asking you to test it. Test what it is that we say. Don't take it at face value because we say that it's so or anyone else says that it's so. Test it for yourself and prove what it is that we're saying is true.
Yeah, you have a valid say. I mean, God gave you choose this day, so that's. I think that constitutes a valid say, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Well, then you have everything you need to survive. Anything. It's right with you. See, God tells you, I suffer with you, but you behold me not. See, God so loved the world that he took you on and he's taking your journey and he's suffering anything you're suffering and not complaining about it. But he has to listen to you complain. And you're always complaining. And the reason I know you're always complaining is because you're still suffering the same thing. Guy told me, he says, I often question, am I going to church because I've been doing this for 40 years and I still ain't getting the help I want, but you're not asking for it. See, that's the problem. You're not even asking for it. You're telling or you're thinking of your problems when you're there to solve them. Let go and let God. And if you're still thinking about it, then you didn't let it go. You're still concerned about it, and you didn't let it go. And you're given to let it go. God tells you, let go and let God. And that's what all the disciples were telling you. You listen to everything they had to say. They're telling you, shut up and listen to God. Let God handle it. And God, even Jesus told you, I myself can do nothing. And this is Jesus telling you, he of himself can do nothing, that the Father within does all the work. All he had to do was just, he didn't even have to ask. He just said, thank you, Father, because he knew, he already knew. See, if you see God in that way, it really changes everything. It really does. Your whole thinking, I know this is a vegetable brain, but boy, I'll tell you, with God behind it is powerful. And the thing of it is, though, you see, you can hurt yourself with the power. And God is not going to intercede. See, he's not. No, people are always praying to God, fix this and fix. No, fix it yourself. Didn't that always heal yourself? Physician, heal thyself. And who's with you? Jesus. Isn't he the physician? And if he says you're healed, you're healed. But you have to accept it. See, the thing of it is, they can't do anything without your permission, because you were given choose this day. And if you're not giving them permission to do it, they can't do it. Or they won't do it. Because God gave himself a prime directive. He's not going to interfere. You got the ball and you're going. It's your game. You choose it. Choose this. Choose every bit of it. Every little bit of it. Choose it. That's what you do with a valid say. You choose what you want. But if you're half asleep, then you might be choosing what you don't want. I say might be like it's no kidding. Everybody that's suffering is doing it. Come on. Everyone that's suffering is suffering because they won't let it go. They talk about it all the time. That's their whole life is wrapped up in what they're feeling, and they ain't feeling good. So what would they expect? If it's as you think you are, and you're always thinking about the bad part instead of the good part, well, then that's what you get the most of, the bad part. I know this all sounds simple, and I know it sounds like but like I said, if God's leaving you a message, wouldn't he make it simple? I mean, he knows you're not all brilliant, but I mean, in my case, he knew that for sure. As a matter of fact, that's probably why I was chosen, because wasn't smart enough to argue about it. I couldn't even put together a case to argue for myself. I had all kinds of excuses and justifications for anything I wanted. Anybody can do that. Anybody can get justification for anything. If you really want it, you can get it. But there again, you're denying yourself. You see, you're fooling with things you really don't want to fool with. You're thinking about things you really don't want to think about. And you say, well, how can you choose? But you can. You actually can choose what you think about. Isn't that so? Can't you actually choose what you think about?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, you're the only one who can.
That's it. That is your whole life right up to this moment. As you think you are, you do, you have, you be. I don't know how you make it clearer than that. But I know it's still difficult to get it. It is difficult to get it. But the difficulty is in you being so trained to the ongoing dramas, ideas, and attitudes that you have to actually sit down and break away from that. See, you can be one with the environment, or you can be one with God. But that would be a choice, wouldn't it? And you'd say, well, why would I want to be part of the environment? But you see, you're told to be in the world, but not to be of the world. And I can tell you this, I would have claimed I wasn't of the world. But I was. Oh, was I? Once you start picking it up and taking it apart, well, you find out, wow, I was a mess. I mean, I'm really the car that was taken out of the junkyard and reworked. But I had a lot of speed, though. I could get myself in trouble that fast. All I had to do was just be afraid of it. God didn't give man the spirit of fear. God didn't give man the spirit of sickness. He didn't give you these. We learn them. And if you learn those, you can learn something better.
Absolutely.
You're in charge all the even when you're out of control, you're still in charge. But why be out of control? I mean, that doesn't sound wise to me at all, to be out of control. I really can't see any sense in it at all, being out of control. And you're given control because you're given to choose what you think. And as you think you are, so you're in control. But are you using it wisely? See, that's the whole thing. Are you using it? You remember the story of the little, what was it, a gopher or something in the junkyard? And he didn't see very well, and to him it was a palace. And then one day when he was rummaging around, he found a pair of glasses and put them on. And he looked around and he realized he was in his junkyard. It was all trash. And he was and he didn't even notice it. See, isn't that the problem of the hoarders?
Absolutely.
That's the same thing. If they put the glasses on and they really don't see that. See, now that lets you see having those people as an example, it lets you see what thinking can lead you to if you're not in control of it. See, but if you're in control, why no. Got junk? Call the guy, take it, haul it off. And we all have a lot of junk that we need hauling off. And ain't talking about your house out there, talking about the house in here. See, you don't understand. You're the church. You are the information station. You are the church, and you are also the temple of the living God. I'm with you always, will never leave you, omnipresent. All it takes is practice. That's how you learned everything else. You had to practice it. I mean, you have to do it again and again and again, maybe even very poorly, but eventually you kind of get the hang of it. But it's the same thing with the thinking feelingly. If you're doing it properly all the time, then it'll be natural. But if you're doing it improperly, that'll also be natural.
Absolutely.
And you'll be expecting it. And it's what you expect is what you get.
I wanted to go back to your story about the glasses, the gopher and the glasses. The story also holds true in the reverse. There's so much available to us. And when we put on our spiritual glasses, the other pair of glasses, we see all that God wants to give us, all that's available to us. Now, because we've been, as Mr. Lindell will often say, mesmerized, programmed by this virtual reality, we can't see it. But when we start putting on the glasses of possibilities and seeing what's possible in the world, a whole new world opens up to us. And it goes back to what Mr. Lindell will often say, God's answer to us is always yes. So if it's to abundance, if it's to health, if it's to a loving relationship, God says yes. And if we're being denied that, it's because we're denying ourselves.
Yes. Yes. Scripture puts that very plainly. All denial is self-denial. So if all denial is self-denial, then God's not denying you anything. He gave you whatsoever to choose from. I mean that should cure that problem right there. But you see, the thing of it is, even though you have the answer to the problem, you still have to do it. See, do a thing and you shall have the power. You have the power of God to do it. But you also have the power to God destroy yourself. And if that's what you're doing, and you know if you're doing it because you're unhappy about it,
yeah.
And that's I mean, that's kind of a loud sound to you if you're listening. That you're actually doing it to yourself. See, actually, we are all committing suicide in the long run anyway. I mean, we're all, none of us are really doing it right. And even those who think they're doing it right are just overdoing it. Because it doesn't take a strain. It doesn't take might. It just takes thinking properly. That's all. And that you see, that's it. You don't need. I always amaze myself. These guys in school, boy, they were just working out all the time, big muscles and everything. They were the guys who were always chosen to do all the heavy work. No one would choose me to go pick that thing up. But that's okay because I didn't want to go pick it up anyway. I'm like, you have to get in the right mood about this, you know. You can choose your moods. I mean, I know you can really be in a bad mood sometimes, and it's kind of hard and kind of difficult. But you know, if you just sit and really think about it, even just for a few minutes, a good mood, you see, then you get thoughts that build up that mood. See, it's a self and risen drama, but it's also a put down self drama if you're not paying attention. and that's what we all got a problem with, paying attention. I mean, you tell little kids pay attention so you don't hurt yourself, but that's the same good advice for us, isn't it?
Absolutely
I mean,
is.
just paying attention. I mean, come on. Especially since what you're paying attention to has your life. For real, yes, for real. That's right. It is for real. This isn't reality, though. This is a virtual reality. This is what you're putting together through your thinking and feeling. But all of this goes away. See, but you have the time now to express yourself, to learn in this environment. But you're not the body that you're wearing. That's what you're doing, but that isn't who you are. See, your spirit. You're not this body thing, although you're operating it, and like I said, we're all operating it badly. But the point is that you are operating it. You have choice to operate it any way you want, and whatsoever. That means any way you want, but you have to choose it. And that's the whole thing. That's the whole story. You are choosing, but are you aware of what you're choosing? See, that's very, very important to be aware of what you're choosing, because that's what's leading you. That is exactly where you're going. What are you thinking, feelingly about? That's your world of experiencing. And since you're the one given choice, you can change it. But you do have to change it, or you experience what the world experiences. Because you're impressed, you express. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
It is. So, what would you say to the listener as we're winding down in closing?
I am. And you are also. Man, when they were sitting at dinner, he said, "Who is Jesus?" He says, "I am, and so are you." That's the whole story. I mean, that's a great dinner discussion, isn't it?
It is. It is.
As long as you're feeding yourself something, feed yourself that. Because believe me, that'll digest really easy. But that's up to you. It's always been up to you. Everything that's happened to you has happened through you, not to you.
Yeah, this ballot say, I think that it's going to be a great topic, and I think that it's going to be beneficial to the listener as they begin to understand that valid say simply means they're thinking.
Actually, that's the whole thing. It is that you're being told that you're on all the time. You understand? If God says, "I'm with you always, and I will never leave you," then you're on all the time. And you're also with God. But how are you acting? Are you acting like it? That's the tough part, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Choosing a new role of life. And you can do so. If you're given choose this day, you can choose a new role, can't you?
Absolutely.
Well, then
Absolutely.
do so. Do so. No one else can do it for you, so you better get at it. When you sit there to think about it, that gets you up to do it, right?
Absolutely. You were talking about choosing a new role, and people really don't think that they can choose a new role because most of us have been taught that this is who we are, that is fixed, and nothing can be further from the truth.
Well, every day is different than last day.
Yeah.
So that means that you actually did choose different. So you can do it. You've already done it. You've been doing it all along. The thing of it is that you don't know what you're doing. You're taking an adventure in places you don't belong. Where do you belong? Think only on things that are lovely and a good report. Just try that for a while and see if it doesn't start making little changes. And then that's where it all starts, with little changes. But you have to recognize them, because if you don't recognize them, then you're not giving yourself credit for it. And so therefore you're still in that other state of mind that you don't want to be in. But you have choice. See, the fact that you have choice, that tells you that all prayers answered, right?
Yeah.
There it is. Suck it up. Well, that's what we did. I mean, I heard it and I sucked it up. But it's feeding yourself. If you're feeding yourself the right information, you get the right results. One, that doesn't take much testing. And like I said, you can always prove it to yourself, because that's the only one that's going to prove it to you. You just have to be serious about it. That's all. And I know it doesn't sound like we're being serious, but we are. Absolutely. You can believe that. We are serious about this. But it's you we want to be serious about it. See, it's automatic. And people tell me that, oh, the way you talk to people, you're not going to get a following. Well, that's okay. I'm not looking for a following. I'm looking for someone who wants to share the good news with everybody else. Because if they're doing it to everybody else, then they're also doing it to themselves. So you can't tell someone else without you hearing it. And every time you hear it, that's a good little watering on those seeds, and they'll grow. They'll grow. But if you just water in the weeds, you get those too. Oh, they must say, boy, an hour of him's enough.
Well, like we say, sir, like always a pleasure.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is. It really is. I look forward to seeing your smiling face.
Well, we'll end on this note. We'll end on this note. Have a great one, sir.
Okay.
People just want to know what you did to be successful.
The 4 CDs that I have out there, it's all there. If you took any one of the CDs and actually followed through on what you understood there, you could change your mind, change your world. All you have to do is just listen to the CDs. It's always reiteration and reiteration.
I want to go back to the 4 CD set. Go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. We can only mail in the U.S. right now, but for those who are outside the U.S., we can send you a digital bundle with everything, so you'll get the enjoyment without waiting for it in the mail. Matter of fact, those who are in the U.S., if you would rather have the digital copies, we can do that as well. MetaphysicalArtTheater.com.